Hello everyone, we are live. Just going to play a little intro here. Thank you. Hello Pamela, how are you today?
I'm great, Mark. How are you? Or Mystery Mark?
Mystery Mark, yes, thank you very much. Welcome to the show. How's everything over your side?
Well, everything is going quite busy. We are in full moon energy. I I do have to share this little piece about the debacle that we had in
Oh yes,
in the evites and invites, and so. But here we are, and I think that has to do with the full moon energies as well. Learning to persevere through difficulties.
yeah, it was quite difficult setting this up, I must say. I thought it would be a lot easier than I thought it would be. But here we are.
Right.
So, for the audience, could we go into your background, please, and your healing gifts?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to. Well, first, let me preface that all by saying thank you so much for having me today. It is an honor and a blessing to be able to share my gifts, my story, my path with your audience and with mine. So, we just want to welcome them all here today, and I want to thank them for joining us. Um, so, I think the time that I really became aware of the gifts, I was probably it was probably about 15, almost 20 years ago. But when I started to become aware of them, I realized that there were, for example, premonitions that would come, dreams and visions that would come that I didn't know how to process, nor did I know how to use for the power of good for myself or for anybody else at that time. So, fast forward a little bit, I have always a person, and my hypersensitivity was so overwhelming that I could not process it, and I didn't have the tools or a skill set, let alone information and knowledge that we have available to us today, that giftedness had a purpose, or that it meant something, or that I wasn't just an over emotional being or a highly sensitive being that felt everything everywhere, but that I had a gift and that I needed to learn how to harness that energy and use it for good. So, about 6 years ago, I made a major life change and I moved from New York to Florida. And I want to say that was really the beginning of me listening to those still small voices, listening to my angels and guides, or God, if you prefer, and actually executing immediately upon the messages that I was getting. And the message was leave. And the message was go to Florida. And it all happened within 21 days. So I had about a 3,000 square foot house that I had to dismantle in 21 days.
Oh wow.
After leaving New York. And when I left New York, I had already been, practicing with tarot, and I had already been a life and spiritual coach. I had already been an energy healer. But I got rid of everything, and I took my dog and some of my belongings and got on the road. And I got rid of everything because I thought I'm going to start a whole new journey. I probably don't need any of that stuff. I'm starting from scratch, and but when I got here, I wound up getting starting a YouTube channel about twin flames, which we can talk about a little bit more later. I started working at a local metaphysical store doing readings, though I went in with the intention of doing Reiki. And before you know it, I had been doing, hundreds of readings a week. And the more I do it, the more my gifts come online, the more gifts are revealed to me. So,
Can you briefly outline
go ahead.
Can you briefly outline what tarot reading is?
Well, tarot reading is, well, first of all, tarot is a system that was brought forth in the early 1900s by Rider Waite. So it was Pamela Coleman Smith, and I'm so terrible with names. Though the system of tarot had been used for centuries before, the system that we use today is basically a group of archetypes and stories. And learning how to read those stories is the art of tarot. So knowing what the cards mean, intuiting what they mean for you or for the querent in front of you. Tarot, the system of tarot is an art of practicing, meditating. So there are 4 suits, as if in a regular card deck. There are 4 suits, right? We have the swords, the pentacles, the wands, and the cups. And each one of those suits represents different aspects of our life. So the pentacles represent abundance. They can represent finances, but wealth and affluence. And that could be time, energy, things that we need in our everyday reality, right? The suit of cups would be representing the emotions, water, right? The emotions that we deal with in our everyday life. Swords are thoughts, and the wands are typically representing creative energies or passionate energies that we are also navigating. And usually they're fueled by action. The wands are typically of a fire nature, right? And so it's action. It's moving from your core to be able to start a podcast, as an example, or start a business, or get into relationships. So that's just a basic overview of the system of tarot. And then you have the major arcana and the minor arcana. And the major arcana are what I usually refer to as the system that of the divine realm really hammering home a message to the querent. And so there's 21 cards. It starts from the Fool's Journey. Essentially, you can equate it to the Fool's Journey and the steps that the Fool takes in order to alchemize all of the gifts that he learns in that journey. And so we can be on the Fool's Journey several times in a year, as an example, starting over several times in a year, if we are forward momentum, forward thinking, if we are actively growing and evolving and changing, and creating, right? And then alchemizing that energy from the Emperor, the Empress, to the next cards in the deck, leading all the way up to the World. And the World card basically is the culmination. So you start with the Fool, you end with the World, and all in between, you have these different nuances of our life. So justice, judgments, as examples. Wheel of Fortune turning in your favor. We all love it when that card comes out. We have the Devil card that shows up, typically representing egoic patterns or self-bondage. And I think that we all take a look at just the year behind us, like from October to October. I think if we were to really take a deep dive into what our year looked like, we can see all aspects of the major arcana unfolding in the past year. Some of us in the past 3 months, if we can take a look back. And I think that the tarot helps us do that. So when I read current or recent past, and when I and future. So it's not really about, fortune telling, so to speak. Tarot has had a bad rap as a result of mainstream religion. And I don't believe that it has given, and there might have been some bad players out there at some point along the way, but tarot is just basically a form of divination that helps you connect with source energy so that you can make decisions that are more guided and in alignment with the direction of each individual. So it's not bad, it's not evil, it's not wrong, it's not all those things. But it is a very powerful tool to be used wisely for the purpose of getting on or staying on your individual path, right? So I jumped ahead a little bit. So that's what I view the major arcana as: messages from the divine realm helping us move forward or warning us about the directions that we're taking and that perhaps we want to take a step back. The minor arcana talks about pretty much like our everyday life and the people in it. It has a set just like a traditional card deck has, right? Also starting from 0, which is the beginning of a phase, whether it's the beginning of a new an inspiration that needs to be moved into the 3D reality, or a emotional entanglement that is causing the distress in your life, and the people that might be involved. And sometimes the people are the person in front of me, right, or myself, and or the people that are in my immediate surroundings. So that could be people at work, that could be people in my family, that could be the people that I deal with every day. And the storylines are typically, when people come to me for a reading, they're usually going through something, whether it's financial or relational, usually intimate relationships. Sometimes it's friendships, sometimes it's family. So when they come to me, they're seeking tools to help them navigate those difficulties. And that system of tarot has been very beneficial in helping people navigate through their life experiences in a better way than perhaps the way they were thinking. So the tarot does ask us to step out of our myopic viewpoint into a bigger perspective, as opposed to just the very thing that's in front of us.
And what challenges does tarot card reading face now and in the future?
I'm sorry?
What challenges
Repeat the
does tarot
question.
what challenges does tarot card reading face in the future?
I don't think they face any other challenges than they have in the past. It is frowned upon by religious organizations and some people that follow religion. But I think that I think that there is more people engaging in it. They may not be telling you that they're engaging in it. They may not be telling you that they're seeing a reader. But I really think it's going to be a great tool for people on the awakening journey. I also believe that we're in a major paradigm shift, and there's a lot more people that are awakening to the fear mongering and the authorities that want to control us. And so as a result, I think we're going to have more people utilizing divination tools and resources than we ever saw before, especially with social media and those of us that are out there working in this new age field or the metaphysical field. More people are interested, more people want to connect with that still small voice within them. So the future, I feel like, is going to be very powerful in a positive way.
And could we dive more into your gifts and kind of give a brief outline of each one?
Of the
Can you get
gifts?
of your gifts? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I don't even know where to start. I think I started with, though I don't have a whole lot of those anymore. It's more now in the real time of what I refer to as discernment. And so discernment, if you look that up scripturally, it's a God-given gift. If you look at the history of the New Testament as an example, it is one of the gifts given by by the Holy Spirit in the New Testament. The gift of discernment is an inner guttural knowing that you know something. It is just knowing that this is the right path, or this is the right thing, or this is the right person. The basic core of my gift is discernment. It can also be referred to as wisdom. And in some instances, it is even foretelling. So I'll know when I belong in a place or not in a place at any given time. I believe that the gift of, healing, as another example, is also in alignment with all of the other intuitive gifts. I can feel things, not just like the gut feeling, right? I can feel when I'm doing a reading, I can feel certain pains in my body, which would be a stressor or or a burden. I can feel when there are deceased loved ones with the person in front of me. So although I don't do mediumship, I can feel the energies of the dearly departed that want to show up in a reading. But the gift of just pure intuition, unencumbered pain body. And I think that if in talking about my gifts, I kind of have to talk about the pain body that got me to the gifts, and the traumas that I had dealt with and had to really unravel from my soul, essentially, because they were just really keeping me stuck and bound in fear. And as I unraveled each one of them, more gifts became available to me. So when I am in conversation with people, I'm really just tapping into source to see what messages I'm supposed to relay or not relay in that moment of time, based on where that person is on their spiritual journey. That's tied to discernment. I believe that the gift of discernment, for me personally, has been the main gift that has helped me do all the work that I get to do. Discerning spirits, discerning energies, discerning readiness, as an example, discerning fear when people come to me for a reading, discerning what's the other word I want to think of? Unbelief or skepticism. So it really gives me the tool to be able to work with all sorts of people at different points on their journey. So I don't see dead people. My gifts don't include visions of apparitions. Although I do see energies sometimes. I don't see the auras on people, but I do feel their energies. My gift has been, my gift has been the foundation of all the work that has unfolded in the last 6 years in particular, where I just went with the moment, trusting. And when I am asked to ask for guidance, their path has unfolded. So I do want to say it's humbling to be able to share this with mainstream society, believers and unbelievers alike, and to watch their at how they too can tap into this power that they have within them when they are centered and balanced and seeking, if you will, because I believe everybody has it. It's just a matter of getting to it. What's blocking it?
And when people come to you, is it like just a variety of questions they have, or are we allowed to talk about that, or?
We froze.
I think we froze. Yeah. Can you hear me? Hello?
I'm here.
Okay. We froze there for a few minutes.
Yeah.
No, I was just wondering, I'm sure you get quite a lot of questions when people come to you, all different sorts of questions. What would be probably the most basic question you get asked, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the questions are pertaining to, am I on the right path? What do I need to know to help me? Am I in the right relationship? Is this good for me? Is it time for me to leave this relationship? Then we have career questions. Am I on the right path? Should I be pursuing something different? Is it time for me to start that new business, as an example? Some would be familial. Usually, when people come in, I have some guidelines. One is not spiritually partners. Like, are they cheating? Are they honest? Are they, telling me the truth? I would reframe those kinds of questions in this regard. I would say, is so and so's intuition correct about that matter? And that will give us an answer to build a foundation for that person to move differently in that relationship or in those discussions with that person. There are many people who have never had a reading, who don't know what questions to ask. But the questions you want to ask, what do I need to know to help me moving forward? Am I on the right path? Those are the questions that are going to really be enlightening and helpful for the people that come to me. Is this the right partner for me? Is certainly a helpful question to ask, especially in the dating phase, before we go into the illusion of, oh, this is the be all end all in my life, because that taps them out of their intuition, their personal intuition. What I say to a lot of my clients is that when they come to me, my job is to bring them back to their source, to their energy, to their center. And not that they wouldn't come to me for validation on their path, because sometimes people are just looking for validation on their own personal messages that they believe that they're getting. And I'm able to validate it or help them narrow it down or navigate through it. Yeah, so the questions, how are my finances is another big question. Will my finances be okay if I make this move, as an example? Or will I don't get questions, will I win the lottery or anything like that, but I do get questions about retirement, as an example, was a question I got over the weekend. Will I be able to retire successfully? Those kinds of questions.
I was just wondering, would you like to give a sample tarot card session live on air to the audience?
All right, you broke up, Mark.
Would you like to do a live tarot card reading for somebody in the audience?
Do we have somebody? Do you want to pick somebody?
I'm
going to just pull one energy card, possibly two.
We have a lot of comments coming in at the moment, so I'm just going to check Facebook as well.
Do we? What are the comments? Yeah. Are there any questions that anybody has in the audience?
Yeah, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask.
I don't see. I only have.
Let's see. I can pick one here randomly if you want from the StreamYard.
If we can't find, if
Oh, we've frozen again. So we've lost Pamela. Hopefully she'd come back. We'll give her a few minutes here. See if she can come back in. But if anybody has any questions, please don't hesitate to leave a comment. And thank you for joining us here tonight. Loving the comments coming in. We'll give her another minute or two. If she doesn't come back in, we'll have to cut the stream. Reschedule another one. Hi, Pamela, can you hear me? Sorry, everybody, for all the technical difficulties. We'll try and get back to you as soon as possible. Hopefully, we don't have to cut this short.
There we go.
Oh, thank goodness.
Gotta love when glitches happen. Welcome to technology. All right.
We are back. Back in action.
So I was thinking about, can you hear me?
Perfectly. Can you hear me still?
I can. So I think I'm going to do that a little bit at the end once you get some people to maybe grab a couple of people that you think might need a reading. Hi, Lorraine. Oh, I can see comments now. I love that. Hi, Morris. How are you? Oh, my goodness. Some of the people that I have gotten to know over the course of time are in this stream. I don't know what you did, but I like that.
Yeah, I just clicked the comments here, and I didn't know it showed up on your end as well.
I see it. So I thought about talking a little bit about the. Thank you. I thought about talking a little bit about the twin flame part of the journey, because that was a big part. That was about a 7-year odyssey. We're talking about the healer's odyssey. What I found about the twin flame journey was that it was a very profound inner healing. And the way I viewed that was essentially that it was time for me to stop doing the things that were no longer working. And as an intuitive and as a psychic, it is really important. You know, there's a phrase that says physician, heal thyself, and to be a healed healer. And you know the healed healers by their levity, their lightness, their gentleness, their kindness, their ability to navigate difficulty. So you want to watch people and how they navigate what I would refer to in one of my classes as turbulent transitions. When we're going through changes, when we are faced with these obstacles or perceived obstacles, we want to continue to move forward. But for me, when I went through that twin flame journey, I was pretty much stuck in a pattern of needing a relationship or needing to be with somebody. The difficulty was that this was such an electric connection. It was so deep and so profound that it had no words at that time. And so when it happened, I didn't know what to call it other than like a deep soul connection. And it was quite beautiful in the very beginning and quite profound. And it was really about unconditional love and the essence of feeling each other. So we talked about the gifts earlier. I forgot about that part. The feelings, and not just the feelings like the warm and fuzzy feelings, the feeling of knowing that when we were apart, I could feel what they were doing. I can intuit how they were acting or behaving. I could sense when the run was going to happen. I could feel the intensity of the struggle, even that the partner was having, together with my own struggle. And learning how to separate what was mine and what was his was part of me really starting to tap into my own essence again. For most of my adult life, relationships were how do I put this? They were a major pain body. I did not have a good picker, so to speak. But when this last one came onto my path, it was pretty much I was hit by a truck. I have no idea what hit me or how I was going to navigate. But what I did know is that during the first few months of it, I was getting the red flag that there was something wrong here, but loved the feeling of that deep connection where we were reading each other's thoughts. We knew what each other was going to say before we said it. We were having dreams about each other. And then I knew that because we were either texting as soon as it happened, and they usually came in at around the same time. So there was this deep soul connection that was unexplained by rational means, by logical means. As I started to pursue this journey further, I realized that this was really about my inner healing, not about the relationship. It was about me coming online, not necessarily about the relationship. Of course, I wish and hope and pray that he has come online, or that he will come online, or that he does his work. But I think that what we were doing was we were all walking around where I used to liken it to children in adult bodies. Because we were adults, we were expected to behave a certain sort of way, and we're supposed to know stuff, and we were supposed to, expect the unexpected in a way that we were prepared for it, as opposed to not prepared for it. And as I embarked on this twin flame journey, I learned that this connection was intended for me to continue to move forward on the path of unconditional love. So when I do my readings, it's about being helpful to the next person. It's about being a resource for that person. It's about teaching mindfulness. It's about teaching the art of meditation and loving ourselves. And it is the art of really the oneness with the divine, the pure love of the divine, if you will, that we just ignored or were distracted by mainstream consumerism or fitting in, or wanting to belong to different organizations or different sections of life. So whether it's our work life, our religious life, our social life, our civic life, many of us have big lives. But when I embarked on this journey, everybody that was in my circle got literally vacuumed out within probably 24 hours is what it felt like. Might have been a little longer than that, but 24 hours is what it felt like. And the reason for that was so that I had no further distractions, that I had to go within, and I had to clean out all of the cobwebs that were preventing me from propelling to that next dimension. So the twin flame journey and me teaching on some of that really helped me get to know me and understand that I do love that person unconditionally, and I can love them unconditionally and still not be in relationship with them in what would be considered a mainstream or a 3D union, but in a very spiritual essence of divine love and understanding and appreciation for where he's at, and allowance for the fact that it wasn't meant to be for us to be together, um, in that way, but in a more spiritual way, that that connection can never die. Unfortunately, a lot of people just want to be in the connection, and I was there once. I just wanted to be with this person. I just wanted to feel that feeling of connection. But that feeling of connection is really ours. It's mine, and it's yours. And it is the connection that we carry deep within our soul for ourselves and for our fellows.
Oh wow, I never knew.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pop up some more. Uh, can you see that?
Yeah. Hi, Katie girl. Thank you for that. So I don't know if everybody can see this, but Katie writes, I can attest that every word Pam speaks of her twin flame journey is true and raw and real. Caitlin was actually a firsthand witness to that journey. She was with me the entirety of that journey. Thank you, Katie, for that compliment. She knows what she's talking about. The pain was so unbearable that she was with me when I was like on the floor in my kitchen, screaming, like almost like from a very core essence within me. What was so beautiful about it now, as I look back at that, is I was finally releasing all of the pain that had ever occurred in my life in that moment. And over the couple of years that followed, I was releasing all of the stuff that I had at a cellular level, and I was just, for lack of a better term, vomiting it out every way I could. But I was in a safe container. I was in my home at the time, and I felt like I usually describe it as God had his thumb on my forehead, and I was like Thumbelina, the ballerina in the jewelry box. I was just spinning, and with each spin, more was falling off, more was falling off, more was falling off. And then the gifts were being revealed, and the intuition and the psychic part of this is the culmination, or the culminating event. The best way I know to describe it is, I was told to give him messages that he didn't want to hear. And when I gave him, and I would have angst about it, and I'm supposed to do this. I don't really want to do this, but I did it. And every time I did it, I felt better after I did it, and I was able to be moved to the next thing. Fast forward, at the latter part of the relationship, my daughter was in Australia, and she had gotten diagnosed with leukemia. And I talk about this because this was a very important part of my healing journey. And so her diagnosis, she was in Australia studying abroad, and I was in the United States. I was at probably the worst space in my life. God removed not just the people in my life, but all finances. So I could not run. I'm a runner by nature. I don't want to feel. And so I would run from my emotions in different ways: gaming, Netflix binging, shopping, I'll be honest, sex, relationships, all these things, the distractions. And all of that was removed. And so when Skylar got sick, I had to find a way to get to Australia. And my passport had expired like the month before, interestingly enough. But her illness had been progressing for several months, but I called her. It was Thanksgiving weekend, and I called her and I said, "Is everything okay?" And she goes, "How did you know?" She was deathly ill. She had like 104 fever. She could barely move. I said, go to the, or call the healthcare center and see if you can get medication or come in or get something to help you get through this. Fast forward 2 weeks, these symptoms started to come back. I said, Skylar, something is seriously wrong. And I said, ask that healthcare professional if you should take this trip into the outback that you want to take. I'm not getting a good feeling about it. You will have to cancel that trip. So sure enough, she asks the healthcare professional. The healthcare professional fortunately rushes the blood work, and that's when she was diagnosed with leukemia. So you call it that mother instincts, right? That intuition, that gut feeling. I'm grateful that she obeyed it, because had she gone into the outback, I'd be telling you another story, but I'm not. And so from that perspective, so those kinds of things, these aha moments, these follow that still small voice moments where there was real life manifestation of my gifts working, and then bringing that all together after I'd gone through the entire pain body, I was able to, all of that was able to come. Not just me, but the divine helped me bring that to a culmination into the world.
Oh, wow, what a story.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. So, so I think that I'm looking at the time, and I want to be mindful of everybody else. Is there any questions that anybody has about their spiritual journey?
If people would like to leave a comment or a question, don't hesitate, guys.
Oh,
There we go.
so true. So, Caitlin writes that this, I am so, that was another life. I think that was certainly a great experience for me coming forward. So Devil Live says, I hear voices and do things. Mark can confirm too. Yeah. And, keeping a journal and documenting the messages that you get, because ultimately that in and of itself is a storyline for you to be able to execute even bigger missions, even bigger, if you want, prophecies being fulfilled. Staying in tune with those messages, staying in tune with your path. I wish I had documented more than I did. But I do encourage people now that they should document every step of their journey the best that they can. Even if it was a crappy day, write it down. But in the confines of the crappy day, something gifted. Look for the miracles. Get in the habit of looking for miracles, looking for the mysteries, looking for. I'm going to have to share this. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, we've got quite a jump of viewers here, so I'm just trying to go through the comments.
So somebody said it's hard to understand the signs. I'll share. I have a friend who witnessed 2 dead birds on her path. And so I said, I always Google the significance, and I always check in at where I'm at in that moment when I start to get repeating signs. And it's usually an indication that your divine team is trying to communicate with you in order to move you into a new direction. So dead birds do not mean that death is imminent in your family or otherwise. Death can mean it's a death of self and a rebirth.
How do people, when people are skeptic and they start coming or being drawn to tarot card readings, is the journey hard for those people to reach out to somebody like yourself or others?
I suspect
Is there a stigma to it, or
yeah, of course, there is a stigma. But I think that when people are ready, they find the right reader for them. There is a stigma attached to it. And a lot of us that were raised in any kind of a religion know that stigma only too well. And that was part of my journey as well, unraveling from Catholicism, unraveling from the mainstream Christianity, and really learning how to tap into the messages that I was getting, which is coming from divine realms. I believe wholeheartedly that when people are ready, when the student is ready, the teacher appears, the old Chinese proverb. But the fun part is when I'm dealing with a skeptic and I'm spot on, and that happens probably about 95% of the time, they feel validated and they feel valued and they feel heard and they feel seen, because the messages that come through, even before I open a spread, are usually dead on to what they're experiencing in their moment.
So, if there's any more questions for Pamela in the audience, can they please write in?
I love that. That's beautiful. Thank you, Devil Lived. Sending hugs.
So we're coming up to the hour now, and I think we'll wrap this up for tonight. And I'd love to have you back on because of the technical difficulties we had tonight.
No worries.
So, thank you so much for coming on, Pamela.
No worries. I'm going to do a shameless plug. If you are interested in a tarot reading, God Conscious.
Oh, yes. Do you have a website or?
Yeah, I'm going to post it in the comments.
Yeah. Just so everybody can see it.
And I also do Facebook live streamings a couple of times a week. But you can always book a reading through that site. My intention is, of course, to do more of the twin flame stuff like I used to. That took a back seat because mainstream society needed more of my attention. But take a look. I'm also offering classes and workshops to help people get into their giftedness and to clear any limiting beliefs or blocks that prevent them from stepping into their power. And any of those limiting beliefs could have to do with the stigma associated with psychics or new age or metaphysical or, any of that stuff. So thank you for that plug, Lorraine. Yeah, so if you're interested, I would look forward to meeting you. You can always also send emails or messages through either site. And Mark, you're awesome. And I just want to thank you. Mark and I have been on this journey together for probably about 6 years. And he's honored me with the blessing of being a part of helping him do his work.
Yeah, thank you so much, Pamela, for your kind words.
Of course. You've come a long way, so I want to put that out there. Really proud of the work that you're doing and continuing to do with the people that, you have a beautiful following here. I'm grateful to have been able to experience their participation. And my people, thank you, Lorraine. Thank you, Marla. Thank you, Katie, for being here. We had a few others. I'm so grateful that they were able to join in.
So, Pamela, till next time, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Peace,
Bye,
everybody
in the audience.
See you soon.